School Fortnight Recap 18, Weeks 5 and 6 of Term 4, 2015, Year 10. Week 5, Monday, 2nd of November, 2015, Science. Only a third of our class was here. Anyways, we had to write 5 evidences of evolution. Basically, the reason why there's people that were away today, or on this day, was because people were at Duke of Ed, or I think, recovering from Duke of Ed, or they're still at Duke of Ed, because it's different days. But anyways, in period 2 I had English. We finished Act 2 of Macbeth, and then we wrote a timeline for the rest of the lesson. Religion, we had a sub. Some of us were disappointed that she didn't turn up to class that day, even though she was at school. We just worked on page 141 of the activity. Pity, we had prac. Yet again, it was disorganized. We joined classes. Most were playing basketball, while others played the vortex or frisbee. Math, we had a sub. Again, we only had a third of our class turn up. We had to complete this worksheet miss that left us to study. Timber, we had prac. Nathan and I helped Dano glue his tabletop borders, and then we helped Anthony S., who had so much clamps on his table, with the help of Antonio S. My bad. We then helped Antonio S. with his tabletop by gluing it and clamping it. And just for the record, when I say S, it actually means their last name's first initial. Pretty much their last name's initial. So the first letter of their last name, just for the record. And then it doesn't mean they're both related. It just means they have the same letter, the same first letter in terms of their last names. Tuesday, the 3rd of November, 2015. Math. Miss along with everyone from Duke of Ed came back. We continued probability. This time it was 2 to 3 step methods. Geography. We brainstormed around migration, its advantages and disadvantages in geopolitical, cultural, and economical views. We then continued to study on our booklets on migration for the rest of the lesson. English, we worked on task 2 and 3 of the worksheet, while some people went up to Sir's desk as he ordered one by one, checking on everyone's work in the exercise book and see if we're struggling or have any questions. Religion. We joined classes with the top class to present our religion assignment. It was spiritual beliefs of Native American presented from the top class, followed by Aztec from our class. Not being sexist or anything, but it was all girls. I'm being honest, it was all girls who presented. Both their presentation was good. It was interactive and they were dressing in costumes, which means they got into it. Music. We spent 90% of the lesson on Note Flight, trying to write the notes of Treasure by Bruno Mars, and 5% of the time we did practical, in which only 5 or 15 minutes was left until the bell rang. Science. We watched the video and wrote notes about genetically modified organisms such as crops. Wednesday, the 4th of November, 2015. Math. We were given a revision sheet for our exam, which covered equations and inequations. Religion. We were in E14. Most people presented, which was Maori Spirituality, Greek Mythology, and Inuit Spirituality. Geography. We had a sub as Miss was sick. We continued to work on the 9 UTT questions on page 283. English. We watched 1971 Roman Polanski's film on Macbeth. We only watched a fragment of the movie, only got up to the part where Macbeth returns to his wife at night after the party, when King Duncan visits them in Inverness, which is basically Macbeth's castle. Timber, we had prac. I was lacquering my table frame with Gibran for 60% of the time, while 30% of the time Gibran and I helped Anthony S. glue his tabletop again. Finally, the 10% was packing up, of course, and also waiting for the bell. PD, like usual, it was loud, rowdy, as we were in the room without a teacher, because this is theory. We were in the G block. I think it was of course, it's the G block. This is G2, and we just came in the room with no teacher. Then our PD teacher came and gave us notes about what to study for the yearly exam next Friday. Thursday, the 5th of November, 2015, double timber. We had prac. I sanded my job after my first layer of lacquer correction. I was in the metalwork room lacquering my job with the second layer, along with Antonio S., Gibran, Dominic, Ronnie, and then Gibran left the metalwork room as he finished lacquering his table frame, where he then helped Nathan glue his table frame, which I helped later on. The bell rang for the second period. I went to my tabletop and paid $10 to Sir to get my tabletop to get sanded along with everyone else. I then helped David M. lacquer his table frame, with the help of Kalira at the same time talking about classes, etc. Then I helped Jessica Z lacquer her table frame while listening to some old school R&B from the speakers someone brought. Finally, we packed up the table frames, the room, and gathered outside the bottom of the balcony, or so-called open area of Rossen Center. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I really don't know what it's called. I don't know the terminology. Geography. Miss gave us a sheet of paper so we can draw cross sections together. She then taught us about quadrants, bearing, and scales on a map to prepare for next week's upcoming exam. Sport. It was raining earlier the day, so it was cancelled. Instead of power walking, we watched a movie. It was really good. It was My Name is Khan. Unfortunately, the bell rang. Everyone left, but it left me interested because of how good the movie was. Friday, the 6th of November, 2015. Today was Walkathon Incentive Day, meaning the people who paid $60 as a class or $120 individually went to Jamboree, which is basically like a water park where people went to like have fun because they donated money to the school. Anyways, double science. We waited for our science teacher, which took him 5 to 10 minutes just to get to class. There was at least 3/4 of our class, which is pretty alright. We were all practicing for the exam. We were drawing cartoons with some information relating to evidence of evolution, mutation, genetic modifications, natural selection, aka survival of the fittest. It was a fun lesson of study. Irene drew Sir as a portrait and also as Gandalf. Or Gandalf, I don't know how to pronounce it. Bryce acted as Sir but by sitting on his stool with this 1 meter ruler tapping the tables. English. Our English class joined with another one as they also had half the students. We watched the same movie of Macbeth all the way up to the scene after the party, and Fleance leaves with Banquo's sword. Music. Only 4 of us turned up to music. Helen, Eunice, Jesse, and Neil. We were on Logic Pro, and we had to convert an instrumental audio file into a MIDI, which Helen achieved like a few minutes before the bell rang. PD, we studied for our upcoming exam, which was the 4 units: substances, sexual health, career development, and lifelong physical activity. Jessica Z wrote down some key points on the board as I helped her with some study notes for everyone to share. Just as the bell rang, Celine N was writing all this on a piece of paper. I told her just to take a photo. She said her phone's no bat, which she then had to get a friend to take a photo of it. Then most people took photos of the study notes as we left the room. Math, great start. John N was crazy again. Just as the math class next door in E11 started their lesson and he closed the door, John N was like going crazy. He was screaming, he was scaring people in the classroom, like, ah! And then some people were just like laughing, and someone closed the windows because of how distractive John was. Anyways, only half of our class was here, so we had to move up to the front. We studied about probability. Week 6 of Term 4, 2015, Year 10. Monday, the 9th of November, 2015. Basically, this week is like the exam block, where I think almost every day there's an exam for like at least 2 periods on max, or not max, I would just say on average. Anyways, on the first 2 periods, it was the geography exam. It was the first exam of the exam block this week. It was 20 marks on multiple choices, 15 marks on short answers with skills, and then 25 marks for the extended response. Overall opinion, most people stated, like actually said that that the exam was so BS, it was just unexpected. Some questions were out of place. The map was horrible. Some didn't make it to the extended response, but getting a C should be fine. I mean, like, you're not like, it's not like they're doing geography next year unless you're doing like some like really high topic which you need to like achieve at least like a high B or at least an A. I think legal studies, but I'm doing geography next year, or I mean next 2 years, which is It's alright. You don't even need like a B or anything. Anyways, religion. My group presented Viking religion for the religion presentations, along with Manu and Jimwell, which took 14 minutes and 14, as in 14 minutes and 30 seconds. The next group was really good. It was Celine and Catherine and Irene's group on ancient Egyptian religion. Their presentation was informative as they had a video and dressed in costumes. Especially Celine. It took me a while to realize it was actually her under all that mummy costume they made. I mean, it was legit. I was so convinced. I was like befuddled. Anyways, for the last two periods, I had math. We started more on probability. Enough said. English, we can. Oh, wait, my bad. It wasn't the last two periods. Scratch that. English, we continued to watch the movie. I mean, in math, we started more probability. English, we continued to watch the movie of Macbeth and got up to Banquo's death as Fleance narrowly escapes. Music, best lesson of the day. We did practice. It was really fun and we practiced our songs. Tuesday, the 10th of November 2015. It was theory for PD, that is. But Sir gave us the lesson to study for whatever subject. Most people studied science as it was on periods 5 and 6. Some people studied for maths and others studied for PD. Music, we did prac. Enough said. Double G, yet again, Miss gave us the whole double to study for our science exam. Periods 5 and 6 was the science exam. The science exam was alright. We just had to draw cartoons along with the explanation of evolution, natural selection, survival of the fittest, mutation, and genetic modification. I finished early. I had 40 minutes left, even though there were like 80 minutes left. There was like 80 minutes in the exam. Like, there's really no point in this exam, to be honest. Like, that exam was so pointless that the only way you would find purpose in this is you're either doing physics, chemistry, biology, or senior science, or basically any science in the next 2 years, which I'm not doing, because like, screw that, man. It's not like you're gonna like become a scientist unless if you're choosing to become one, then go for it. Wednesday, the 11th of November 2015. Religion. The last two groups presented their ancient religion. It was Native American, then it was ancient Roman. PD, we had prac. Half of our class and the other PD class didn't bring prac clothes, so the classes were divided. Those who brought prac joined with our teacher, that is, while the other teacher had the students without prac clothes and just studied for maths. We played soccer. On our team was Gibran, Shabel E, Elias K, Selena T, Jessica Z, Catherine, and Neil. While the other team had Jordan, Samuel D, Crisanto, Celine N, Sarah G, and Eileen. We were losing in the beginning as it was like 1-0, as in 1-0. Then it was 2-0, and then 2-1. Then we caught up at like 2-2, like 2-all, that is. And finally, we won at 2-3. It was fun, even though hardly anyone did prac. I mean, like, legit, it was like hardly anyone. It was only like us. That's it. Periods 3 and 4 was the math exam. I did all the questions. I knew some of my answers were wrong, but it's better than nothing, man. Some of the questions I forgot the equations of the formula, but I did them anyways. Doesn't really matter if anyone fails this exam if they're doing maths next year anyways. For timber, we got our tabletops back from the from the factory that Sir gave. Most people were lacquering their tabletops, while some people were in R13 as Sir was cutting some timber for some people's tabletops. I had to glue my tabletop again because some of the wood didn't get enough glue. With the help of Gibran, that is, he helped me glue the tabletop. Gibran was then helping Jessica Z glue her tabletop. So I came to help as well, including Adam and Elias K. We smeared it along, then we clamped it. Elias K left. Adam and Jessica put so much glue, and then they smudged some of the glue, or most of the glue, on my apron, as no one had an apron besides me. At the end of the lesson, we put our tabletops in frames for display in the Roston Center, as Sir marked it later on that day. Because he was gonna mark it anyways. Geography. We were about to have a lesson back on Geo, but we were invited to the top RE class as they were presenting for religion, that is, for their class. We then moved to the theater and watched the top RE class present. It was Aztec, then it was Mayan. Unfortunately, we ran out of time and not everyone in their class presented. Thursday, the 12th of November 2015. Double music. In period 1, we discussed more about the gig, managing and planning about what's gonna happen. For period 2, we practiced our songs. Also, Manu, Maverick, and Jezebel was at the pass exam for the double. Bummer. Timber, I unclamped my tabletop, sanded it in R13, then I went back to R12 to lacquer my table frame, returned to R13 again, sanding my tabletop, helped Kalita with her tabletop by filling the gaps with glue and sawdust, thanks to Nathan's advice, because like, for some reason, Kalita was like filling it out, like, she didn't believe what Nathan's said, because like, and then she didn't believe me, because she thought I was talking like BS, And then I was like, oh, don't worry, man. Just fill the gaps. I'll just fucking like send it. And then so we did. Sport, power walking was good. Great weather, just the usual. Friday, the 13th of November, 2015. Double English. We continued to watch Macbeth. We saw the murder of Banquo again. Quite brutal. Macbeth has a feast in his castle, but is haunted and has left a scene that he might have killed Banquo. Macbeth visits the witches and believes he must kill all the firstborn. He returns to the castle and sent men to siege Macduff's family. Later on, the English and Scottish thanes surround Macbeth's castle. Lady Macbeth commits suicide due to her hallucinations of guilt and blood on her hands. Anyways, everyone else in the Macbeth's castle leave except for King Macbeth himself, where Donalbain is slain. I know it rhymes, along with his men. He exits and fight Macduff on a long fight scene. It was choreographed, but it was a pretty good fight scene. Like, come on, man. It was like, there was hardly any fighting in the movie. There was a lot of drama. Finally, Macbeth was slain, beheaded by Macduff. Malcolm is then crowned the new king of Scotland, and that's where we got up to in the movie. And that was it. We didn't watch the rest of the movie. Math. We studied for our PD exam as it was on periods 5 and 6. People sat wherever. Grace and Lords wrote notes on the whiteboard. Elias K was helping Victoria, Taylor, and Viali, and Jason by giving them some tips. Elias K then took some photos on the notes of the whiteboard. He then sat next to me, reading some of my notes. Lords then came, but she went to the back. But Elias K and me gave her the levels of occupation for the last few notes on the whiteboard, which they filled up. Geography. Instead of studying for PD, we played Kahoot on logos, celebrities, and cartoon characters. Periods 5 and 6 was the Year 10 PD exam. It was alright, like always. I finished at around 40 minutes left until the exam finished. 20 marks for the multiple choice, 60 marks on the short responses, 20 marks on the extended response. I only studied for like a few minutes, if not seconds, to be honest. I answered it all, even though I knew I am gonna be wrong, but at least it's better than nothing. But I'm being honest, because no one in my class cares about PD. If you're gonna do PD next year, then you should care about it. But me, I don't care, man. Do good, do bad, doesn't matter, man. It's a record. It's done. It's dusted. It's history.